morning and welcome to Kirk in the morning, being the 16th of January 2023. We have so much lined up for you. Definitely later on, we'll just be having a discussion on issues to do with a visual impairedness that is just living beyond blindness. We also have the newspaper right here where we'll just be letting you know on what exactly is in the dailies. But right now, let's start with news at this hour, where President William Ruto has urged elected leaders to stop wrangling and serve Kenyans. Speaking in Bomet Town yesterday during an interdenominational prayer service, the president expressed concerns about the bickering among Kericho County MCAs over leadership positions, calling for an end to wrangles among leaders.
That I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream.
Every leader in the Republic of Kenya, we went to the election and we had a contract with the electorate for them to elect us and for us to work for them. The people of Kenya have discharged their part of the contract. They have given us an opportunity to lead, from MCAs, members of parliament, senators, governors, and myself and my deputy and everybody that we have appointed. It is now our opportunity to discharge our part of the contract, to ensure that we change the lives of the people of Kenya as we had promised them, the life of their children, the education of their children, water for their families and their livestock, and for irrigation, their electricity requirements, their health requirements. It is now our responsibility. Na ndio mimi nauliza viongozi wote, tusipoteze nafasi tena kupanga mambo ya viongozi. Sasa ni kupanga mambo ya wananchi. Na wauliza wananchi wote tuungane, na nawauliza viongozi. Naona bado kuna viongozi wengine bado wanang'ang'ana na mambo ya vyeo. Bado huyu anatafuta hii, mwingine anatafuta ile. Mimi nataka niwaambie MCAs wa Kericho, wacheni upuzi.
Now, elsewhere, the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua visited the wife of the freedom fighter Dedan Kimathi at a hospital. Rigathi Gachagua, who visited the 92-year-old freedom fighter at the Nairobi hospital, where she has been receiving treatment, announced that her pending hospital bill was cleared by the president, facilitating her release. The Deputy President expressed concern that Mau Mau fighters and their families are struggling to meet basic needs, saying that the Kenya Kwanza administration is having engagements towards improving the lives and remnant freedom fighters and their children.
I've been sent here by President William Ruto to make an intervention on the hospitalization and inability to clear hospital bill of Mukami, the wife of the hero of our freedom struggle, Field Marshal Dedan Kimathi Washuri. Despite having fought for our freedom, despite having sacrificed their all, they live in poverty and squalor. It is very sad, because after the struggle, the black colonialists who came to power betrayed the Mau Mau freedom fighters and took their land and gave it to the home guards and the collaborators, and left the freedom fighters and their families in abject poverty. As the home guards and the collaborators own tracts of huge land that are idle, where antelopes and other wild animals roam freely. Our freedom fighters are buried in public cemeteries, and their children struggle without food or employment.
For Kitui County are now calling upon the Independent Police Oversight Authority to hasten investigations and charge the police officer who broke into a home in Kwanungu area and allegedly shot dead a 26-year-old man. The legislators, led by Mwingi Central MP Gideon Mulinge, now want legal action and justice to take place.
Umefanya nini? Huwezi kuua. Sheria isemi hivyo. Unaenda kushika, na kama ameleta shida unaomba reinforcement.
Now, a plane with 72 people on board crashed near an airport in central Nepal. Confirming the incident, officials say that the Yeti airline flight from Kathmandu to the town of Pokhara crashed on landing, catching fire. There were 68 passengers on board, including at least 15 foreign nationals and 4 crew members. At least 200 Nepali soldiers are involved in the rescue. 40 bodies have so far been recovered. Well, definitely now you are up to date on what exactly is happening in the country as well as outside the country, and we'll definitely be updating you on issues to do with just what we've been able to share with you on news at this hour during our subsequent bulletins. Right now, let us go straight to the newspaper review. Now, I have the Standard newspaper, definitely, and the Daily Nation. I will just be looking at some of the stories that these two dailies have given a priority. And the Standard newspaper is giving a priority to the story to do with the junior secondary school. Remember, there is quite a headache on issues to do with transitioning from to the junior secondary school. And just to read an excerpt, the Standard newspaper right here is that transition head teachers are rushing to prepare facilities for the start of new term, but a visit to schools show public primary schools have no laboratories for the new curriculum and other reporting inadequate number of teachers, while private schools are all set. That's a story that you can read for yourself on page 12 and 13, definitely, even as we wait to hear from the Minister of Education on how the transition to junior secondary school is going to look like. We'll go straight to the 4th page of the Standard newspaper, and we are now looking on issues to do with the IEBC officials, and that is Chebukati, Molu and Gulie to take home 32.7 million in a send-off package. And the 5th page of the Standard newspaper is just giving us profiles of the different IEBC officials. Right there we have Chebukati, we have Juliana Cherera, who is the vice chair, we have Francis Wanderi, Irene Masit, Justice Nyangaya, there is we have Professor Abdi Yakub Gulie, as well as Boya Molu. So for the send-off package, we only have one for, that is the chair, Wafula Chebukati. We have one for Boya Molu, that is the commissioner, as well as Gulie. Remember, the 4 other commissioners are definitely facing a case in court as far as last year's general elections are concerned. Going straight to the 6th page of the Standard newspaper, we have Ruto vows to stop cartels in tea and coffee as well as milk production. So that is the president who was speaking yesterday in Bomet, as we've heard right there. Just on the 7th page, we have President appoints former Kinango MP as a chair of KPA. Definitely, you can read in-depthly for yourself on those particular stories right there. Going straight to the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation has given a priority to investigation on the death of Nelson Dereba Njeru, and that is the murder plot. And a bizarre tale right there when Lucy Njeri Mohammed landed at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi last November. She did not know that two men ostensibly assigned by her husband to meet and drive her home were in fact members of a killer squad. You can get that story on the top page of the Standard newspaper, just going through the second and the third page. And still on the top of the Daily Nation, we have issues to do with education right there that you can get in-depthly on page 7. From school fees to taxes, you'll have to dig deeper into your pocket. Remember, schools are set to open from the 23rd of this month, and still on issues to do with education today, we are actually expecting news from the Minister of Education on issues to do with Form 1 placement results, which are set to be known today. So you can definitely tune in to Kirk TV for more on that particular story. And we go straight to the 4th page of the Daily Nation. And Raila out to calm troubled waters in Nyanza through mending fences with Ruto. Remember, the president had a 2-day tour right there in Nyanza. And you can read that story about the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leader Raila Odinga on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And page 6 of the Daily Nation is still an excerpt from the president. That is, I'm not setting up my deputy. Just to set things clear right there, you can get it on page 6 of the Daily Nation. And now on page 7 is issues to do with the education. From school fees to taxes and costly loans, hard times await. That is for parents as well as students or anyone who has a child in both primary and secondary school right there. And now to the 8th page of the Daily Nation, they are just looking at issues to do with health right there. To tell or not, tough choices of raising HIV positive children on drugs. So they're just highlighting on how probably parents can be able to just break the news to their children that they are HIV positive. That story is on page 8 of the Daily Nation. And that's it from us on issues to do with the newspaper. You can definitely grab for yourself, that is at the Standard newspaper as well as the Daily Nation, just to get an in-depth of the different stories that I have been able to highlight right there. Well, so right now we'll be taking quite a very short break. As I mentioned, we'll be having a discussion that with members from the Kenya Institute of Special Education, that is KISE, where we'll just be discussing life beyond blindness. Definitely just being a visually impaired or completely blind, it's quite challenging, but that does not just hinder someone from achieving their dreams. Definitely, that's a conversation that we'll be having this morning right here. So we take a very short break. We'll be right back with those members from KISE.
PCEA Enomatesiani Booth Boys High School is an ideal school for boys located in a quiet and serene environment, ideal for learning in Matasia, Kajiado County. The school works towards producing qualified students who become competent professionals in the society.
We offer a wide variety of subjects in our school. Our school is well equipped. We have a state-of-the-art library, a spacious boarding section, a modern kitchen, also Olympic-sized swimming pool where our students go and have their swimming lessons.
The school focuses its effort not only in classroom learning, but we also provide learners with equal opportunities, that is to hone their abilities and talents. We have games like football, chess, volleyball, among others. The climate here is also favorable for all students.
PCEA Enomatasiani Booth Boys High School is open for January 2023 intake in Forms 1, 2 and 3.
Our school is founded on Christian value. We appeal for you to register, and we know we'll be able to mentor your boys through our Christian setup.
We are going to mold our boys in Christian values, and we are committed to do so at this time when the boy child must be taken care of.
For more information, get in touch via 0796 560000, 0796 560000. Email us pceaenoboothboys@gmail.com.
Cervical cancer is real.
In Kenya, cervical cancer is the second most common cancer among female, with 9 women dying every day from cervical cancer.
The problem comes in with the 5%, where the human papillomavirus, that particular virus which causes cervical cancer, where it now persists in their system.
Now, cervical cancer mostly affects women between 35 to 49 years. Screening is recommended for all women aged 25 to 49 years and vaccination for all girls aged 9 to 14.
Bleeding is one of the main ones, but there's also discharge, basically abnormal discharge from the private parts. Often it is watery, often it is smelly.
Cervical cancer remains a major public health concern in Kenya and worldwide. For this reason, January provides an opportunity to highlight and raise awareness about cervical cancer. So join me, Aida Munzati, every Monday from 8 p.m. throughout this month of January as we focus on cervical cancer, informing you, raising awareness about cervical cancer screening and the HPV vaccine for prevention of cervical cancer.
We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments, kindly get in touch with us via email info@kirktv.org, SMS 0111 220044 or call us on 0794 588 054. Finances, or let's say money, is one of the major reasons of a shake-up in our families today. Now, whether little or in plenty, management of its use is an aspect that makes a huge difference, and that is why we're beginning the year by talking about matters money. So tune in to Transforming Families every Saturday from 8 to 9 p.m. as we talk about money throughout the month of January. See you then.
PCA Booth Girls High School of Excellence is an exemplary girls boarding school located in a calm environment perfect for learning in Ongata Rongai, Kajiado County. Our sole responsibility is to equip our students to competitively fit into the ever-growing world-class institutions and the job market. An all-rounded student is what pushes us to burn the midnight oil.
It is school of excellence in teaching and performance, but it should also be school of performance in all areas of construction, areas of repair, areas of stewardship. It should be a school of excellence, because we are taking that it is a school of excellence just for as far as performance is concerned. No, it should be a school of excellence in all aspects.
Seeing the uptake within which, the speed within which the community have embraced the school, there is no doubt that the demand will outstrip supply in the next few years to come.
Apart from academics, we have some co-curricular activities like we have handball, we have volleyball, we have the table tennis, and even we have the swimming pool whereby our girls are nurtured on how to swim. Indeed, PCA Ongata Girls High School is a place to be so that we can nurture the talent of your daughter.
We have spacious classrooms, well-equipped library, science and computer laboratories, dining hall, modern kitchen and dormitories. The fees is affordable.
I also study as a parent to PCA Both Girls High School. And when I was sharing with the director of education, she told me there is a school less than 200 meters from your office. And I came, and I was convinced, and I brought her here. So I'm proud to be part of this community. I'm happy that indeed I can see a good school.
Bring your daughter to us so that we mold her in character, in the ways of God, and also we mold her in academics.
For more information, call the number 011-311-4284.
PCEA Enomatesiani Booth Boys High School is an ideal school for boys located in a quiet and serene environment, ideal for learning in Matasia, Kajiado County. The school works towards producing qualified students who become competent professionals in the society.
We offer a wide variety of subjects in our school. Our school is well equipped. We have a state-of-the-art library, a spacious boarding section, a modern kitchen, also Olympic-size swimming pool where our students go and have their swimming lessons.
The school focuses its effort not only in classroom learning, but we also provide learners with equal opportunities, that is to hone their abilities and talents. We have games like football, chess, volleyball, among others. The climate here is also favorable for all students.
PCEA Enomatesiani Booth Boys High School is open for January 2023 intake in Forms 1, 2 and 3.
Our school is founded on Christian value. We appeal for you to register, and we know we'll be able to mentor your boys through our Christian setup.
We are going to mold our boys in Christian values, and we are committed to do so at this time when the boy child must be taken care of.
For more information, get in touch via 0796 560000, 0796 560000. Email us pceaenoboothboys@gmail.com.
Cervical cancer is real.
In Kenya, cervical cancer is the second most common cancer among female, with 9 women dying every day from cervical cancer.
The problem comes in with the 5%. Where the human papillomavirus, that particular virus which causes cervical cancer, where it now persists in their system.
Now, cervical cancer mostly affects women between 35 to 49 years. Screening is recommended for all women aged 25 to 49 years and vaccination for all girls aged 9 to 14.
Bleeding is one of the main ones, but there's also discharge. Basically abnormal discharge from the private parts. Often it is watery, often it is smelly.
Cervical cancer remains a major public health concern in Kenya and worldwide. For this reason, January provides an opportunity to highlight and raise awareness about cervical cancer. So join me, Ida Munzati, every Monday from 8 p.m. throughout this month of January as we focus on cervical cancer, informing you, raising awareness about cervical cancer screening and the HPV vaccine for prevention of cervical cancer.
We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments,
Hello and welcome back to Kaka in the Morning. As I had mentioned or promised earlier on, we will be looking at just life beyond blindness. And definitely in studio, as I mentioned, I have Zachary Mwasia, who is a lecturer at the Kenya Institute of Special Education, as well as Mr. Ruben Mwanzi, who is a Braille specialist. And together we are just going to discuss on issues to do with blindness, as well as just living beyond blindness, and what are some of the opportunities and dreams that people with probably just a visual impairedness of blind people can actually live beyond their blindness. And now let me just give you an opportunity, Zachary, for you to fully introduce yourself to our audience this morning.
Oh, thank you, Diana. Hello, viewers. Thank you for your attention. I'm Zachary Mwasia, a disability inclusion and assistive technology advocate, and currently working as a lecturer in Kenya Institute Special Education. Yeah.
All right, you're welcome, Zachary.
I may also need to say I'm totally blind, a visually impaired person. Thank you.
All right, so we'll just be probably just hearing your story and you just telling us more about it later on. But Mr. Ruben, to you now.
My name is Ruben Mwanzi, former special needs education teacher, having taught for over 30 years in the area of special needs, especially for people with blindness. And it has been very interesting to me, and that's why I have got a lot of interest in Braille literacy. Thank you. All
right, you're welcome. And now to you, Zachary, you just mentioned that you're fully blind.
Yes.
Just share with us briefly about your journey.
Well, about my journey is that I was born while I could see, just like any other typical child. We use typical to mean normal and atypical to mean that child with some disability. So I was born a typical child, and when I was about 7 years, then I developed some complication here and there, and I lost my sight. Yeah.
You mind highlighting the complications probably for a parent that is watching, those that can actually relate?
Oh yes, they related it to polio. Yes.
All right. And when you were, let me say, when now you lost your eyesight, from then we are just looking at living beyond blindness. I mean, there's life even after that, after probably you losing your eyesight. How has life been like, and most importantly, in your adulthood?
Well, life has not been bad, only that it has been just a bit challenging, because most of the people that are around tend not to understand even how to interact or support someone with a visual impairment or rather blindness. And that makes it just a little challenging. But once they understand on how to support, because apparently so many people are interested to support people with different disabilities, including those who are blind, but they do not know how. So once they understand how, then it becomes possible for you to live even a decent life. Yeah.
All right. To you, Mr. Ruben, now you've just said that you've been a specialist in this area for quite a long time. Zachary has just mentioned of he was born seeing until he was 7 years. What are some of the things that you can say can lead to someone being blind, whether partially or completely blind?
Now there's various circumstances, physical, and some of them people are born with. Some they are inflicted later in their lives, but mostly cases is that some of the places where you'll find a lot of blindness is that where some people, most of us are very ignorant. Some of them can be arrested as early as possible. So long as when a child or somebody exhibits some of the rare seeing problems, it's better to take them for assessment so that we understand them as early as possible so that they can be able to be arrested. And we have seen that in very many areas whereby a child has exhibiting some kind of queer behavior in seeing. So people will think that, oh, this is like this, but when we take them for early assessment, it becomes very easy to arrest some of these situations. Some of the blindness that we are seeing could have been arrested, but because of ignorance and people not taking care, they have blown up out of proportion. And that's why the government of Kenya, in fact, I want to thank them, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health have come up with the early assessment of children when they are going to school or even before they go to school. And I know KISE, which is Kenya Institute of Special Education, has a very elaborate assessment center. So whereby when you see your child having a problem, maybe when you want to look at you, it's looking from the side, you know there is a problem. Maybe it's looking up to see you and you are down. It means there is a problem. Don't assume or just think that that is the way they are supposed to be. Take them for early assessment and some of these problems can be arrested.
All right, you've just mentioned of some of the signs, and that's one of the questions that I wanted to ask. You've mentioned that probably when a child is looking at you, they are not looking at you directly. What are some of the telltale signs as well that a parent can be able to just capture early enough so that we are able to save this child from them losing their sight?
In fact, when you have your child and you are holding your child, always please don't just be breastfeeding the child. Always do some signs to show if a child can either recognize can recognize you. If you put your eyes around, she's seeing you. When he's not blinking, there is some problem. So you need to arrest it as early as possible. It can be corrected. Yeah.
All right, and now to you, Zachary. You've just mentioned that when you're 7 years old, that's when probably you lost your eyesight. What are some of the things that, of course, you've been told by your parents or just your guardians? What are some of the things that probably went wrong? You've just mentioned of polio, and I'm sure that losing eyesight, it did not just happen like abruptly, like pop, and you are blind. What are some of the things that probably you were told you experienced for you to lose your sight?
Well, they said that I was okay. Then at some point, one of my eyes started becoming bigger, whereas the other one started becoming smaller. And in fact, that makes me even wonder if it was exactly polio or measles or whatever, because it was explained.
Was there another diagnosis that was done to you?
Yeah, later the kind of diagnosis that was done was just confirming that I can't see, but it wasn't necessarily able to tell what led to it. However, they said that my eye just started growing big and the other one growing smaller. becoming smaller and smaller in size. And so they took me to hospital, and they first of all did not even know which hospital to take me. Because remember, these are first time parents to experience this. So they do not know that they had taken me to just nearby dispensary. And, you know, going there, they probably meet someone who has not interacted with a blind person before or with those kind of signs. So it was a challenge for them to at last land on the appropriate hospital. And that is why, like Mr. Mwanzi is saying, it is a really big step for the country today that we do have assessment center, you know, assessment and educational centers. It is just a very, very, very big step. So when getting to the hospital, they did operation on me and was hospitalized for some time, and then later released. And since then, I've learned to live without sight. Yeah.
All right. And let me just go back to the infections, Bwana Mwanzi. Now, are there some infections that probably might prolong and even lead to one being blindness? Probably we are looking at infections where there's discharge in the eye, among other things. Just the small infections that parents probably just don't go for checkups that might lead to you being blind completely.
Yeah, in fact, there are several. In fact, some of us, you will find that when a child is born, normally we have to take very serious steps regarding that child health from the word go once the child has been born. Let's look at all the limbs, let's look at all the things that a human being should have and see if they are developing in the best way it's supposed to be done. If you notice something that is not developing the way it's supposed not to develop, please let's seek the guidance of the doctors. They will always advise you. A child may take too long to sit, a child may take too long to walk, a child may take too long to even just raise a hand, a child may be too long to even say mama, a child may be too long. You know, it becomes, you get concerned. So if we get concerned at that early age, there are so many things that we are going to arrest. Because doctors are there and they will understand. Because you are giving birth to a child, you have the child, the doctor is there to assist. But if you don't go to the doctor, it will be very difficult. So we need to have, when a child has a lot of in the eyes, every morning he wakes up, where unachukua tu kitambaa, you wipe it, and you don't know why, and the following day like that, you unataka matawi, that is not with all the traditional ways of doing things. Alafu nasema, no, the grandmother used to be like that, even the brother used to be like that. So we start now bringing in issues that are not medical. So, but the doctors are there, and they are really available to assist. So let's arrest some of these things. You know, I have a friend of mine whose child was born, I think, deaf and blind, but they didn't notice until when other child was an age of calling mama, he could not call mama. When they could talk, the child would not even turn. He will not turn. Yes, he could be seeing, but it's not turning. Una call, but a child, when you make a noise, he should be able to turn. It's not turn. But it was later in the age that they noted that this child Kunde is deaf, blind. But it could have been something that they would have noted earlier to assist the child to adapt to the situation and all those kind of things. Yeah. So we take too long to at least find out the problem of a child. But these things can be arrested at that childhood. Yes, we have other people who may get them at later in their life. Some of them could be accidental. Those ones, you know, they are accidental, you can't arrest them. But there are some that develop slowly, you can be able to note and be able. And as we are saying, please let us always engage our doctors. They are there to assist us.
All right. You brought in something very key. Now, you talked of those parents that will be like, the grandmother used to be like that way, the grandfather and all the generations before this particular person. Would you say visual impairedness can be genetically, probably if I had a parent who was blind, probably the chances of me being blind are also high?
Not necessarily. Like my friend here says that it was polio and something like that. I don't think polio is inherited. So when when somebody gets a child, said no, even Mwasha was like that. No. It is not that way. So we can't talk of inheritance of some of these things that are there. Yes, there could be some conditions whereby in a family somebody is being born blind. It could be an hereditary kind of thing. Maybe there's a problem that is there. That's why you seek the doctor's advice and other medical practitioners. What is the problem? What is the problem? They will tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, I have given birth to a child who is blind. The second one is also blind. What could be the problem? The doctors will always identify and they will let you, and they are ready to assist. Yeah.
Okay, now to you, Zakaria. Bwana Mwanzi here has just talked over assessments. You being a lecturer at Kise, let us just look at probably there's a child that has been brought to you that probably has a problem with seeing. What are some of the assessments that you will do to this particular child?
Well, there's a lot that we do, but maybe if you allow, just before I answer that, to mention that Kenya Institute of Special Education is a semi-autonomous government agency of the Ministry of Education, and that it has several mandates. Now, as functional assessment is just but one of its mandates. If you allow, I could just mention three. One of them being training of personnel, including teachers, on issues special needs in education. The second being conducting and coordinating national functional assessment for identification of disabilities and placement purposes. And three, that we also conduct research in relation to any special needs issues. Four, we also do rehabilitation and therapy services, especially for persons who have acquired impairment at adulthood. And five, we make sure that we try to produce learning resources so that the learners who have disabilities may benefit, learning resources to just aid in their teaching and learning. So now you asked about assessment. I need to say that at Kise, we are privileged to be the one running the National Functional Assessment and Resource Center. Talking of national to mean that there are others at the different sub-county levels, we call them EACs, where when you come in, you get personnel who are qualified in different areas, those who are able to assess on the areas of visual impairment, those who are able to assess on the areas of physical impairment, mental impairment, and such. So when you come, it's just, first of all, you are assessed to confirm that there's some screening tools that we do use to be able to identify exactly what could be the challenge. And then once and that starts from even the very basic, whereby we are able to see, first of all, that what you are not able to do, and that what you are able to do. And then that's when you take you to now probably machines, where they would help us to know exactly which level. If, for example, it is, say, vision, how far or how close can you read? And if you're able to read, then, for example, how large or small are the letters that you're able to read? Such kind of things. So it's a process. It's a process. Yeah.
If I may add on that, I've gone to Kisa and I've found that very many parents now are bringing their children there. It is also to make sure that our children get education as early as possible. Impairment should not derail them, should not put them at a disadvantage. So Kisa will always assess the child, tell you this child can be placed in such and such a school. If you are coming from Kiambu, they will tell you go to such a school which is nearer to you. If you are wherever, they will tell you go to this. So they will always assess you, get the needs of the child, and then they place the child in a special school or in any school that will always make sure that the child gets early education just like any other child. So that is very key to the development of a child. And if you look at it, you'll find that in any case, when God created a human being, and He has planted in a human being a special seed. And that special seed should be nurtured by us. And that's why we are saying that let's nurture those seeds that God has planted in these children who have special needs, the blind and all the rest. And when we nurture it, they become good citizens of this country, and they are good people. Yeah.
All right. You wanted to add something, Zachary?
Yes, I did want to add that, you know, as KISA, we do not work alone. We coordinate a lot with with the Minister of Health, such that if we do assess, remember what we do is functional assessment. We don't do medical, we do functional assessment. So when we assess and realize that this child has this and that challenge, and then that the challenge can be corrected, can be, you know, supported by a medic personnel, then we do refer them to different services, medical services. So we coordinate a lot with the Minister of Health. Yes.
All right.
And of course, schools, Minister of Education, to make sure that placement is done, either to special school, as Mwanzi said, or to integrated units, dependent on which one is most favorable. We concentrate on the need base of this child. Yeah, that need of the child.
All right.
Okay. So I encourage every parent that is watching us right now that in case you have realized anything that you do not understand about your child, please feel free to visit Kenya Institute of Special Education for functional assessment services. You know, we do it free, so you should be able to come and enjoy the service. You will not regret once you come there. We're in Kasarani. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Zachariah. And now let us just look at, just take you back slightly on the causes of blindness. We've talked of those that might happen probably during childhood, but we have these that might occur to us in adulthood. You've talked of accidents as well, but we have those that where, let me talk of glasses. Yeah. Let me say glasses that have not been prescribed by doctors. Is that can this particular probably item lead to you being blind? And what are some other things, probably conditions or diseases, that might lead to one being blind, not necessarily during their childhood, but in adulthood, other than accidents?
Yeah, in fact, there are people, especially the young ones nowadays, just putting on spectacles, putting on goggles, and all those kind of things, without the prescription of the doctor. It is quite not good. It is advisable that if you are putting on spectacles, go and see the doctor. Let them prescribe for you the correct way of correct spectacles that you are supposed to put on. But when we start putting on our own, you may not necessarily be blind, but your sight will not be the same as the way it is supposed to be. It will always be affected. You will always have a problem in your later age, because you are using spectacles when you are not supposed to, or you are using incorrect spectacles, because people are just selling on the streets. There are sunglasses people are just putting on and whatever. But get prescription always from the doctor. The doctors are the people who are supposed to tell you, put on this, put on that, put on not this one, and so forth and so forth. But these ones we are just getting from everywhere and putting on, they are very dangerous. I can remember there are times when a child, a school-going child, a secondary school child, when he saw a young, the colleague putting on spectacles, he looked at this one looks very nice and he looks handsome. So he said he would also want to have spectacles, but then he could not get them directly, so he faked some kind of eye problems. So they would take him they tell you,
can you see this? Can you see? I can't.
Yeah. Can you? You know, the doctors will always test. They tell you, do you see this? Yes, yes. And you know, the one that are using for testing have just empty. There is nothing. So when he tells you, can you now see this? Yes, I can see now properly, but there is nothing they have put in. So you know that this child is cheating. He just wants to put on spectacles, that because the friend, when he puts on spectacles, he looks beautiful or handsome. That one is also something that you have to go to an assessment center, let them be assessed. If the doctor tells him, no, you don't need it, let them not put on. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And now before we take a break to you, Zachary, just living or being visually impaired, you've talked to parents and told them that they should come to KISEM and seek these services that you offer. But I'll say there's a stigma that are probably is associated with being blind, would you say you face stigma? And if you haven't, have you interacted with people that are blind that probably have faced stigma from the society? And what exactly can we do as a society?
Well, stigma is there. But then the way we've continued to create awareness, it is going down and down and down. The rates of stigma are going down day in, day out. Just because there's quite lots of awareness. In any case, that's why you're having me here.
Exactly.
Because stigma is low. You are no longer wondering, how will this blind person talk? How will he sit? How will he blah, blah, blah. You know, those are not your concerns, because you already know that being blind does not necessarily mean that you're limited, you know, with everything. So stigma is there, and stigma is actually mostly to those who have not interacted with those that are blind, or to those that have interacted with them, but then probably, you know, had a bad experience. You know, I may interact with you, and maybe because of how you treat me, I end up becoming quite arrogant. So you end up having an attitude towards everybody who is visually impaired like me. So you tend to feel as if you know, every time you interact with a blind person, there will be this and that, like the way Zachary was. And this kind of thinking that, you know, every blind person has to just get to the streets and borrow, you know, that is something that also has also been there for quite some long time. And, you know, it's dying slowly, just with the awareness.
Yeah. If I may add on that, stigma will be there, and also unwarranted sympathy.
Yes.
Unwarranted sympathy is not supposed to be there at all, at all, at all. I'll give you a case of a colleague of mine had boarded a bus. So when he reached the stage, he wanted to alight. The conductor knocks the door and tells the driver, "Hey, simamisha gari, mgonjwa anataka kushuka." You know, he's calling a blind person sick person. He's not a sick person. It's not. So it's only that maybe he was sympathetic, they are ignorant about the blind people. So let people get educated and know that this is somebody who is just
they are able.
They are able, and they're just like us. What they don't have is only sight. And you know, by the way, our eyes are only good when there is light. When there is no light, our eyes are useless.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. When there is no light here, all of us will start now
I
throwing
really
our.
love that.
We'll start throwing hands around to see how to. Yeah. So actually, they are not sick people. They are very normal people. In fact, healthier than ourselves. Yeah.
I think just as you put it, when all of us are in darkness, we'll be like throwing hands, but it's not like we are incapable. We still have all our senses.
Yes, our senses.
We can definitely reason or know exactly what to do. All right, thank you so much for that. So we'll just be taking a very short break. We'll come back with more. As you can see, Zachary right here has a number of items and equipment right there that they'll just be letting us know on how exactly this equipment can be put to use by those that are blind. So we take a very short break. We'll be right back in a few.
PCEA Enomatesiani Booth Boys High School is an ideal school for boys located in a quiet and serene environment, ideal for learning in Matasia, Kajiado County. The school works towards producing qualified students who become competent professionals in the society.
We offer a wide variety of subjects in our school. Our school is well equipped. We have a state-of-the-art library, a spacious boarding section, a modern kitchen, also Olympic-sized swimming pool where our students go and have their swimming lessons.
The school focuses its effort not only in classroom learning, but we also provide learners with equal opportunities, that is to hone their abilities and talents. We have games like football, chess, volleyball, among others. The climate here is also favorable for all students.
PCEA Enomatasiani Booth Boys High School is open for January 2023 intake in Forms 1, 2 and 3.
Our school is founded on Christian value. We appeal for you to register, and we know we'll be able to mentor your boys through our Christian setup.
We are going to put our boys in Christian values, and we are committed to do so at this time when the boy child must be taken care of.
For more information, get in touch via 0796 560000, 0796 560000. Email us pcea@gmail.com.
Cervical cancer is real.
In Kenya, cervical cancer is the second most common cancer among female, with 9 women dying every day from cervical cancer.
The problem comes in with the 5%, where the human papillomavirus, that particular virus which causes cervical cancer, where it now persists in their system.
Now, cervical cancer mostly affects women between 35 to 49 years. Screening is recommended for all women aged 25 to 49 years and vaccination for all girls aged 9 to 14.
Bleeding is one of the main ones, but there's also discharge, basically abnormal discharge from the private parts. Often it is watery, often it is smelly.
Cervical cancer remains a major public health concern in Kenya and worldwide. For this reason, January provides an opportunity to highlight and raise awareness about cervical cancer. So join me, Aida Munzati, every Monday from 8 p.m. throughout this month of January as we focus on cervical cancer, informing you, raising awareness about cervical cancer screening and the HPV vaccine for prevention of cervical cancer.
We welcome your feedback on our programming. For questions or comments, kindly get in touch with us via email info@kirktv.org, SMS 0111 220044, or call us on 0794 588 054.
Welcome back. This is Kirk in the morning. My name is Aida Muzati, and welcome back to the second part, definitely, of our conversation this morning as we look at beyond blindness. I have Zachariah right here as well as Ruben, and we've had quite an eye-opening discussion right here, just looking at our visual impairedness. And I'll just start with you, Zachariah. We were just looking at the stigma that is associated with blindness, and you talked of other than being blind, you're capable of just living, let me say, a normal life. Let us look at employment with people that are visually impaired. What are some of the challenges that they face, and what will be your word probably to employees outside there?
Persons with visual impairments can comfortably work, especially if provided with the appropriate environment. And an environment, in this case, I mean both the physical environment and also the emotional environment, to make sure that they have probably the appropriate tools for work, and also that they are given tasks that are, up to them, especially any task that does not involve sight, then they'll be able to perform. Yes.
All right. To you, Mr. Mwanzi, when it comes to, let me say, education, how are we able to educate this person or this child that is unable to see? How exactly do we take them through school so that they are also able to reach at that particular point where we are talking of employment?
Thank you. As earlier as we said that these children will undergo what we call an educational assessment to see the degree of their disability so that they can be able to be placed in an education center where they're going to get proper education. And what we normally advocate is when a child who is blind comes to an institution, let the child not adapt to the institution. Okay. Let the institution adapt their places so that the child can come and get suitable education. So some of us, we just take a child and we place him there and we want him to learn just like any other child, which is not good. Let us adapt the school, let us adapt all the education processes so that when a child comes there, is comfortable to learn. And that is very key to an education of a child who is blind. Let us always adapt the school in all manner, and even the teachers, the workers, let them know, let them be sensitized that we are going to get a child who is blind, and this is the way it's supposed to be handled. Not with the sympathy, but empathy, but also with an adapted environment to suit that child.
Now, talking of sympathy and empathy, someone that is unable to differentiate these, probably there is a child that is blind. How do you expect me to treat her or him, or how exactly do you expect me to just interact with this particular child, and not necessarily a child, but an adult as well? How are we supposed to treat this person as a society, to use a career?
Maybe the best way to demonstrate sympathy, empathy difference is to allow me use the street language. Sympathy is the woye language. Woye atajuaji mali toilet iko, woye ataketi aje, woye, you know, that feeling that, you know, you're ready to do everything for this person, with the feeling of thinking that they are not able, they are helpless. Empathy is when you understand Zachary cannot see, and you come, tap me and ask me, Zachary, how can I help you? Then I tell you, I want to, say for example, visit the gents. You tell me, for you to get to the gents, you turn to your left, then you walk straight, and after that you will find a pillar which you turn to your right. Are you comfortable, or can I support you there? You see, with that you've treated me with empathy. You are putting yourself in my shoe, and you are asking, before you doing it, you are asking.
I've given you an opportunity to tell me that you're able to do that.
Yes.
You just need probably direction to that.
Yes.
All right. And that's very great. I think you've also created awareness, not just to the audience, but to myself as well.
I'm humbled.
And now to you, Mr. Mwanzi, you have a braille right there on issues to do with education. Just let us know how, first of all, what's a braille and how does it work?
Braille is, people confuse Braille and think it is a language. Braille is not a language. It's only a code that can be used in many languages. And Braille actually was developed in 1802 by, 19 there, by a French educator called Braille Louis. When he was blind, he was blinded, by the way, at an age of, I think, 3 or something like that, when he was playing around with his father's tools of leather. The father was, I think, a leatherman. So when the child used to go and play there, I think he took one of the tools and it pierced one of the eye. So it became destroyed. The other one also got infected, so he became blind. So that child, the French educator, Braille Louis, is the one who came up with this kind of Braille. And it has become worldwide that it is a code that can be used in many languages in the world. And
maybe you can just show it to our audience so that
maybe I may add a little on the same, that like he's putting it, Braille is not a language. It is only, if I can say, a mode of reading and writing for the blind. And this mode allows the blind to read by touch. So it has, some dots. And those dots do not necessarily form the letters A, B, C, D of your structure, but we have it's just the mode. The way a motorbike is different from a plane, but both are transport means. They are modes of transport.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
maybe you can just show it to our audience.
Yes.
So,
and how it works.
Braille actually is in a format of 6 dots. And from the 6 dots, you can get all the letters of the alphabets, all the numbers, and all other notations that you can use.
Yes.
By formatting it and making different shapes of the 6 dots. So once it has been brailled on a piece of paper, now it becomes a touch reading material for people who are blind. And it is very key, by the way. Braille is very key for people because when you are blind, some of the senses that are much more enhanced are touch senses. So when somebody is reading Braille is using a touch because there are raised dots. Kwa Kiswahili wanaitanga nukta nundu. So when they are raised, when somebody is putting his finger and reading it, is getting the shapes of the letters. If it is A, he knows the shape of A. If it is B, he knows the shape of B. So he will always read using the fingertips. So which means also that the fingertips must be very sensitive. That's why we avoid teachers caning blind people in their hands.
Yes.
Yes, you don't, because you are killing the senses of touch, which they are key to their,
very key to their education.
To their life and education. So we don't need anything to touch or to destroy the senses there. So you'll find that we need the hands to be very sensitive and all that. And it forms also what we call finger dexterity. Fingers now can move. If a blind child was just seated like that, the finger will not have dexterity. They will not be able to move. They will not be able to touch and feel something, but this is the way it is. I'll give Nani to read for you just a part of it, because me I have sight. I'll always use my sight to read.
But are you
yeah, I read
able
Braille.
to
No, touch I may not, because my eyes will always influence my hands.
Okay.
So maybe just before I read, I would love to mention that we write Braille on a special paper. This kind of paper, for example. Hey, you, my viewer, can you see this?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So this piece of paper is heavier than the normal paper, than the normal book paper, the print paper that you guys use. It is also bigger, as you can see. Mostly this is the normal size of a Braille sheet of paper. So we write on one sheet at a time, unlike you people who have an entire book where you write and then turn, you write, you turn, you write and turn. With us, we write on one sheet at a time. And once we've written on the sheets, then now that's when we perforate and then arrange them and do binding, for example, like the way it is here. So when I turn, I'm able to read, for example, this is Kenya Institute of Special Education, Special Needs Education Towards an Inclusive Society. This is a 2015-2016 ISO certified. Then there's a number here, 9001-2008 certified. Yeah.
So you can find that he's reading even faster than me, even if it were in print.
Yes.
Because of his finger dexterity, his sense of touch are very high, so they have been enhanced because of Braille. So,
Zachariah, maybe you can just hold it, just showing it to the camera.
This way?
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is Braille.
You can just continue explaining.
Yeah, I was saying, and Braille is in two sets. We have what we call uncontracted Braille. Braille that you just write word. If I wanted to write Ida, or just write AID. But we have, those is for the lower children in lower classes. When they go to upper classes, we now contract it. It becomes a shorthand. Like you will find a word father. Father may just be F or something F. So that we shorten it so that we don't, if you put it in long term, it will be uncontracted, it becomes too heavy and
Okay.
too bulgy.
Okay.
So we normally contract it when we go to higher classes, and that we call contracted braille.
Maybe I
And
can say that in other words, that you see, you realize, for example, this size of paper. The tools that we used to write, we have different tools that we would use to write braille with. Now, it would have a limit. For example, one line would have, say, 40 cells. You can see each one of them is a cell, a cell, a cell, a cell. Eh? So 40 cells. So what he's only saying is, if it is a word like, say, father, I would use, say, F, several letters. By the time I'm spelling the word father, I've spent like, say, 4, 5, or 6 cells. But if we do the contraction way, the way he's talking about, is to mean that we want to use fewer cells. So the fewer cells we use, then the more content we'll write. Because when braille, as you can see, this one is already big.
Yeah.
By the way,
So
let me
it's
just
like how many pages?
let's just mention these are 20 braille sheets.
Okay.
Now 20 braille sheet is equivalent to like just 3 sheets, 3 or 4 print sheets, the A4 size. 3 or 4 sheets for you to make, and you can imagine just 3 sheets in print. If you translate them to braille, then you get all this big thing. So braille is bulky generally, and that's why we needed to have the contraction. That would help make it, just less bulky.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me just ask, probably to both of you, there's a child that is unable to see and they would wish to study engineering. Is braille then, and there's definitely a course or books that this particular child probably is supposed to be reading. Are these books that we people who are able to see, are they able to be now translated into braille, or how exactly does the education of this particular person go about?
in fact, it is anything that is in print can be put into braille.
All right.
It can be adapted. We normally say it can be adapted. Yeah, there may be some other areas whereby like 3-dimensional diagrams and all other things, isn't it? But they can be adapted to suit the people who are blind. So any print can be translated into braille. We have no problem with that. And even KISE itself is the one that is doing that, to translate from print to braille. So anybody who wants a book, any course, and you want to read it, it can be translated into braille.
And in KISE we do it in masses, by the way. We are able to produce braille in big volumes. Okay. So if there could be any one of you who has, a need to have a book or a charter or, just anything translated to braille or even sign language, please come to KISE. We'll be able to sort you out. We've already sorted others, so I'm sure we'll be able to sort you too.
and I know that Kaka, you would want to really make people, you have flyers.
Yeah.
And flyers should not only be for the sighted. You can bring some we make for you for braille, so that it can go to people who are blind, so that they can be able to know that we have Kaka, and he's a Christian TV, is having very good topics like this one of today, and they will be able to learn, and they will be very committed actually to follow it up. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for the suggestion. And now, other than the braille, Zachary, you have, you said it's a white stick or white cane?
It's a white cane.
All right, just let us know. Exactly. Let us know of how it's used.
Well, let me start by saying that when one is visually impaired, then it means that they are limited in terms of navigation. Why? Because they are not able to see where they are stepping. So for them to know where they are stepping, they need to touch to confirm that where I'm stepping is safe, where I'm stepping is flat, where I'm stepping is a stair, where I'm stepping is a ramp, it's going down or up, or has, some ditch, for example. So because I may not go just touching the ground, with my hand, I need to have something that is that I can stretch and use it to touch with. And now that's where a white cane comes in. So a white cane is a special cane meant to, you know, touch the ground, confirm that where I'm to step is, where I'm stepping is, and then I'll be able to now have confidence as I lift my leg to step. Yes.
Okay. And is it just feeling the surface, or is there probably any special thing or any special, probably I can see where you're holding, we have some buttons and things to do with that. So is it just about touching the surfaces, or is there any other thing with the buttons?
You know, when the person who made a car started, they first of all just had a box and wheels, and when it rolled, they started adding other ideas into it.
Okay.
So when a white cane was developed, of course it never had this thing. This is a gadget that is fixed. I can unscrew and just remove it if I want to. Now, first you asked about whether a white cane is just a white cane. You know, apart from helping me touch, it is also an identity. So when I'm walking out there, even before I talk, even before you see my eyes, even before you see my reaction, you'll be able to notice that I am visually impaired. So it is an identity. So in fact, it is a great friend to me because it helps me, you know, be identified. I identify myself with it, and it identifies itself with me too.
Okay.
So when I'm using it, I am able to touch just the ground. And like I say, with you know, adaptations, you know, and modifications, when we notice that when you're using it, it is kind of, you know, sticking. Maybe when you're moving it around, it sticks. Maybe if there's something, a bump ahead, sticks. So that's when there was need for a roller to be put, so that if this place is carpeted, then it would not go getting stuck on each of the tire. And then now, this is a modification that is meant to help me now caress the space. Remember, I'm now touching the ground, but now I want to touch also the space. For example, you realize that there are windows where a window is open. I wish I could stand.
You stand.
Thank you.
Okay.
So remember, when I'm using the white cane, I'm moving it this way.
Okay.
I touch where I'm to step, and now I'll be able to make a step, for example, having already touched where I want to step. So I'll be able to know how the ground is. But if there's a window open, and especially the windows that open on side, then I will not realize that it's open.
Okay.
I'll be able maybe to touch the wall and feel this is the wall. I move with the wall, I use my white cane, and not knowing that there's a window that is already open, it ends up knocking either my face or my stomach or something. So that was the necessity that brought up this device. This device has some sensors. So when I turn it on, it means that if it notices anything that blocks, it has some ray of light where if it is blocked, it vibrates.
Oh, it will vibrate.
It vibrates,
okay.
Meaning that it will help me know that in front of me, as much as I may not touch it on the ground, there's something hanging which may hit my face.
So at that point, what do you do? Do you use your hands as well to probably identify the thing?
First of all, I be more cautious, so that I can even use any other sensory means that I have, for example, listening, echo, and all that. I could also try to move away. Maybe if I was walking here, if I were walking here, I could just try to move away just a little to make sure that if it's, say, a window or maybe a branch of tree or a side mirror that, you know, of a car that is stretched, it will not knock me. Yeah.
And now with the white cane, are you able, let me just take an example of the CBD.
Yes.
Now with the white cane, are you able to walk by yourself? You and the white cane, no assistance from any other person?
Yes, I can walk. However, the problem is that we, first of all, here in our country, we've had several things that are not done right. For example, we do not have you know, pathways on every road. And again, if we have the pathways, you find that is where the bodabodas, hey guys wa bodaboda bana. Stop wacheni kupitia kwa pathways, please. Those are meant for people to walk on. And you can comfortably compete with any other machine that is having an engine like you. So you find a bodaboda, you'll find a mkokoteni, you'll find a, you know, just anything on the way, which will end up blocking you.
All right, all right. You may have your seat. Now to Mr. Mwanzi. Let's look at an example of, let me just say, a child that was going to just a normal school. Then later on in life, just still in primary school, they develop, now they become blind. How do you now prepare this child to use the braille and also use the white cane?
Normally we have what we call orientation and mobility course. Orientation and mobility course is to teach a child or any human being who is an adult, isn't it? How to use a white cane, how to maneuver places and all that. So that course is there. They will learn it. A child who is in a regular school and becomes blind, anyway, one, it is not a certificate that he has to move to a special school. No. If that child was born in that environment and he has been brought up in that environment and he has become blind, let us now adapt the situation in that school so that the child can go on using the same education, the same teachers in that school.
As you did put it earlier on,
yes.
It's the environment that is supposed to adapt to this particular child.
So that you don't remove that child to go and start another environment, yet he is used to that environment. But if the school cannot adapt, then the child will be told now, can we move, can cautiously move to another school whereby now he can be able to continue learning.
And how do you prepare them psychologically?
No, there is a lot of psychology, there is a lot of talking to them, there is a lot of counseling to them. Because actually when you become blind, let me say, if I become blind right now, not behave the way I'm behaving, mannerism will change completely. Sometimes, you know, men were not supposed to be blind, so you will start now sympathizing with yourself, why am I blind? So you find that actually in actual senses, men are very difficult to learn orientation and mobility and braille, because to them already Nikama you have removed everything. So those are the counseling that people should go on and tell them that this is not the end of the world. It is only one sense that has already been destroyed, but the rest are working. Your mind and everything is okay. So they have to learn orientation and mobility. These children can learn braille, and you know, Kise has taken very many teachers who have learned special needs education in all regular schools. So in every school there is a teacher who has learned special needs education. So let's not remove children from the environment and take them to a different environment because they are blind. They can still learn from there.
If I may add just a little about orientation mobility, they also get to learn on how to guide someone who is blind. Remember, it's not all communication that will help me. The kind, when you're holding my hand, you know, there's a way to guide someone who is blind, and they get to learn all that. They get to learn on how to also, you know, communicate the environment. You know, like the way you are orientated me when we are on break of how this room is, so that it doesn't feel as if it's just any other room that I've just come and sat and, you know, we are through and I go. So all those are things that they learn during orientation and mobility. Yes.
And even mannerism. You know, when somebody is blind, the mannerism you exhibit when you're sighted may not be the same. When I give you food on a table, let the blind person be told this is the spoon, this is the fork, this is rice, and we have stew here, and we have this, so that he is, or you are now orienting him on the table manner, on the table, the arrangement of the table, so that he doesn't now start dipping in somebody's plate when so you have to orient him. So let's not take things for granted. We have to orient them in everything. And in fact, it takes only 2-3 minutes. They have already oriented themselves and they are very okay.
All right, now to technology. Zachariah, you had a machine. Maybe once you can just help pass it across to him. Just let us know of what exactly is that first, then how it's used, even as we talk of technology and the blind.
We did say that for learners or people who are visually impaired, for them to fit into an employment, they would need to have what it takes, the appropriate tools. Just like when you got here, you needed to have a microphone, you need to have blah, blah, blah,
Exactly.
tools of work. So for a blind person, technology plays a big role to have the tools of work that we're talking about. This is a refreshable braille display. Refreshable braille display simply to mean it's a computerized device that allow me to now interact with it using braille. You see the way you use your computer, the way you use your phone. If your screen crashes right now and it is dark, you say your phone is spoiled, you'll not be able to call or even send money to anybody. That is now, it means that you're using the screen as, the output of what is in the phone. So with me, I use this braille as an output of what is in the device. I also need to say that we did mention that braille is bulky. So in the process of trying to solve that problem of bulkiness of braille, technology came in handy, where we try to have, things that are able to be stored in soft, and then they are able to be read in braille. So there are devices that are developed to have its output as braille, meaning that anything that I get, I'll be able to now read it in braille. Just like the way I give you some content on a flash disk, you put it in your computer and you're able to see it on the screen. Then you give me that content on a flash, I put it in my device, and I'll be able to read it in my braille. Yeah. So there are different versions, there are different types, dependent on, dependent on your ability and of course your needs. Just like the way there are different models of cars, there are also different models of refreshable braille displays. There are low-end ones which are just basic note takers, where you can just use to write and read in braille, and maybe basic connectivity. And there are advanced ones like this, where you can use it as a computer, a full computer, and you are not only able to write and read in braille, but you'll also be able to connect to other devices. You'll be able to, even be able to read. Like this one allows, if it is you, for example, to be able to see what I'm typing. When I'm typing, you'll be able to see on the screen while I'm reading in braille.
Are you able to type now?
Yes, I am.
Please do.
I could type either using the physical keyboard, maybe say type. So on my braille, it has written demonstration. So I could type either on that physical keyboard or on just the screen, and maybe type to. So I'm typing just on the screen and able to input braille. I can have it speak to me. I can read either in braille itself, as you can, I don't know if my viewers can see.
Yes, they can.
There are some small dots here, that is braille, and when I move, they refresh, they change. So I hope you can see it refresh.
Yes.
Yeah, this is wonderful. And I could also choose to read by voice. I could activate speech, and I'm able to read by speech. Let me just activate speech. And I'm able to just read by speech. So what I'm doing, I'm able to also listen as it reads. As you can hear, it is talking, only that I've put the speed to be quite fast. The speed is just all about your preference. As you can see, I'm also blessed with some big flappy ears. So I'm able to listen to very fast rates, but I can control that.
And how, let me just talk of its accessibility. Now, how expensive or cheap is this particular gadget to any other person that is blind?
I always try to eradicate the words cheap and expensive in my dictionary.
Okay.
Because I realized when I say, kumekauka, ni mimi nimekaukiwa.
Umekaukiwa,
So when you're talking of the costs, I would rather we talk about cost. To me, cost is need-based. This means that a device, for example, this device may be going, say, for example, at 100,000. To you, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
A lot of money. But to me, because without it, I will not be able to work at Kirk TV, then with 100 money will not be too much. Because once I get it, then I'll be able to earn that 100,000 every month, for example.
Okay.
So to me, it will no longer be costly. But if I'm buying it, maybe say to a class 1 or class 2, or even a PP1 child, then it might be costly. Yeah.
All right. Now we have very few minutes, like 5 minutes just to complete, but the conversation has been such an eye-opener, I must say that, in terms of just creating awareness about visual impairedness. It has not just been an eye-opener or just an awareness session to our audience, but to myself as well, I must say that.
Really
now
humbled.
to you, Mr. Mwanzi, just your last words, even as we complete the show this morning.
Thank you so much. What I would want to alert the viewers is that every human being, as I stated at first, God has planted a seed in that human being. It is us as human beings again to nurture that seed in each and every child, in each and every person. So people who are blind, they have a seed, and that seed can be nurtured to become very good citizens of this country. Let us always have some of these causes of blindness be eradicated as early as possible. Let us identify the needs of the children. Let us identify some of the deformities in the children as early as possible so that they can be corrected. But for those ones who have been born blind, let us also know that they are children just like another child. Let us always be with them. Let us care for them. Let us nurture that thing that is them, that will make them good citizens of this country, and it will be very okay. For the teachers, please let our children learn Braille. Technology has come. It is supposed to be an assistive technology, but not to take over the child or to take over our brain. Let us always do things knowing that God has created us and we have something that can make us even be better. Technology is there. Let us embrace it correctly and not just going deep into it so that we just make children robots. Let's make them be children just like another child. And that's why I advocate that a child at an earlier age must learn Braille, touch Braille. Let them not be given things that they will always be reading by voice. No, because they will not know punctuations, they will not know spelling, they will not even know the format, they will not even know the commas and full stops. So when you start teaching them Braille at an earlier age, you are increasing that kind of option of doing very good punctuation, pronunciation, and even talking. So Braille is key, and it will remain key to our learners who are in schools.
All right. To you, Zachary, very briefly.
And once they learn Braille, then they can be introduced to technology. Zachary never had a chance to read the Bible, the verse they prefer, the chapter they prefer, the book they prefer, just because I only got a chance to have a book at a time, maybe Psalms. And if it is Psalms, then in volumes. You know, Psalms would be, for example, a Braille book a Psalms book in Braille would be in 3 volumes. Volume 1 having chapters 1 to 50, volume 2 with chapters 51 to 100, volume 3 with chapters 100 to 150, for example. And, you know, I would not carry the 3 volumes at the same time. When I landed on this technology, now I'm able to read any Bible verse or book that I prefer at any given time. But my last words, I would love to differentiate, first of all, impairment and disability. Impairment is that condition which is already diagnosed and confirmed by a doctor. For example, I am visually impaired. But when you there tend to want to treat me in a certain way, When I come and find that you're walking on the, you're putting something, a barrier on the path I should be walking on, you're causing a disability to me.
Okay.
Maybe I can use even a better way. When I forget my bunch of keys here, I'll be disabled from accessing my house. But once I get a neighbor and the neighbor tells me, hey, don't worry, your son left their bunch of keys, then I'll be enabled to access my house. So disability is about environment. Disability is about circumstance. But impairment is about that condition that is already diagnosed. So I'm requesting, hey, you, my viewer there, when I meet you out there, do not allow my impairment to have a disability just because of the environment that you're creating. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. That was Zakaria Mwasia, as well as Ruben Mwanzi, who is a Braille specialist. And I must say that the session has been such an eye-opener, and I hope the same for you as well. As Zakaria puts it, we should all create a very enabling environment for those that are impaired, so that we do not end up making them to be disabled, as Zakaria puts it. So thank you so much for tuning in. We've been talking about beyond blindness. Just the fact that someone is blind does not mean that they are helpless or incapable. They are very able even to go beyond their blindness. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're just joining us, remember you can always find this conversation via our YouTube and Facebook pages. That is Kirk TV Kenya. My name is Aida Muzati. I'm wishing you a blessed Monday. Thank you so much.